Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Hammond, and I actually paid to see this. And welcome back once more to this year's Oscar Blitz, where I break down every category and every nominee at the 96 Academy Awards. Tonight, it's the big one, Best Picture. The result is pretty much a lock at this point, but that doesn't mean the contenders don't deserve one last look. Normally, I do a category where I look at each hopeful and then rank my preferences, but because this is Best Picture, which already uses a ranked choice system to determine the winner from 10 nominees, I'll simply cut to the chase and present them in the order where they'd be on my imaginary ballot. Since the award goes to the film's producers, I always think of this category as determining what is the best overall production, balancing all elements of filmmaking rather than what I just liked the best. I also use a weighted system to determine my vote, ranking each film from 1 to 10 based on the following criteria. Acting counts for the most because that's the most important thing we as the viewer see, so it gets 3 times the vote. Directing and writing are next as the chief creative forces of the movie, so they get counted twice. Finally, one ranking of up to 10 points is made for technical elements, artistic achievement, and my own personal preferences. This results in a possible 100 points if a film gets first place across the board. And then I'll use my own personal preference again in any applicable tiebreakers. That's my convoluted system, so let's get to the nominees. 10th place goes to The Zone of Interest, James Wilson, producer. I've already talked at length about why The Zone of Interest didn't really work for me, so I'll keep things brief here. To be clear, I do love the basic idea. Jonathan Glazer came up with a wonderfully ironic concept and filmed it beautifully. There's just not enough character or story to make it shine as a full feature. As such, it ranks dead last among the nominees for me in acting, writing, technicals, and my own personals. It does get up to 9th in directing because of Glazer's creativity, and up to 6th on the artistic side, giving it a final score of 16. It's interesting, but incomplete. In 9th is Maestro, Bradley Cooper, Steven Spielberg, Fred Berner, Amy Durning, and Christy McCosco-Krieger. As my friends at No Rest for the Weekend put it, this is weaponized Oscar bait, and it shows. The film has a lot of sheen to it, and I love Bradley Cooper as an actor, but this entire project reeks of self-indulgence and efforts to get people to celebrate him rather than Leonard Bernstein. There are literally several scenes that consist entirely of people applauding Cooper in the center of the frame. Sorry, but I ain't buying it. It ranks 8th in acting, elevated by Carey Mulligan and Sarah Silverman, and 2nd in technicals, but everything else it's 9th or lower, giving it a final score of 28. 8th place is Anatomy of a Fall, Marie-Ange Luciani and David Thion. Let's face facts, folks. This is a good film, but not a great one, mostly because of the cop-out of telling the audience up front to go to a website to discuss Sandra's Guild rather than just answering the damn question. Thankfully, this appears to have been removed for the at-home release, but it's still pretension at the highest level. It plays well at canon with critics, but not with general audiences, and you get the impression it was only nominated because the Academy was pissed off that France didn't submit it for international feature. I rank it 9th in acting, 8th in directing and writing, 7th in art and tech, and 8th for my own personal. Don't tell a story if you're going to make the audience finish it for you. I liked this movie, but that nonsense prevented me from loving it. Final score, 29. In 7th is The Holdovers, Mark Johnson, producer. I haven't gotten to talk about this film on the channel yet, so let me just say that I absolutely enjoyed this from beginning to end. Every year, we get a few Best Picture nominees that don't really measure up, to the point where you wonder why the film was expanded to 10 entries in the first place. Last year, only the top 2 were truly worthy of consideration from where I sat. This year, the competition is much stronger, as everything from here onward is deserving of the title if they get it. I love the performances of Paul Giamatti, Dominic Sessa, and Divine Joy Randolph. The script is clever and frequently hilarious, and the 70s styling that Alexander Payne implemented works most of the time. There are some structural issues here and there, and like Maestro, this feels like it was designed to attract awards votes, but not as blatantly. It's 6th on my personal list, 5th in art and writing, 7th in acting and directing, because the degrees of separation are very tight going forward, and it only falters in technicals where it ranks 9th. Its final score of 45 reflects the strength of the films above it far more than any weakness it might have of its own. In 6th place is Barbie, David Heyman, Margot Robbie, Tom Ackerley, and Robbie Brenner. Was this the best film of 2023? No, but it was the most fun, at least for me anyway. Greta Gerwig created a truly imaginative world filled with gorgeous designs, laugh-out-loud humor, and some surprisingly insightful character study, which is always her biggest strength as a director. The script is flawed, as I've mentioned before, which is why it ranks 7th in writing, and the relatively bland performances for Gloria and Sasha knocked the acting down to 6th. It's 7th on my personal list, where I gave it a B+, and I think that's exactly where it belongs, but it does have some truly superlative elements, including ranking 5th in tech, 4th in directing, and number 1 in artistic elements, thanks to its brilliant designs and use of music. The messaging is way too heavy-handed, leaving it with a final score of 57, but I and audiences the world over will enjoy this for years to come. 5th place goes to Past Lives, David Hinojosa, Christine Vachon, and Pamela Koffler. Like Women Talking last year, this film is up for the top prize despite only being nominated for the screenplay outside of this category. Also like Women Talking, it deserved way more attention. This is an absolutely wonderful examination of interpersonal relationships, anxiety, second-guessing, and platonic love, brought to us by Celine Song in one of the most fantastic debuts in modern cinema history. It's no surprise she took home Best Director and Best Picture at the Independent Spirit Awards. She should be up for Best Director here as well, and Greta Lee had a strong case for a Best Actress nomination. The emotional honesty on display here is astounding, and I was hooked for every second of its tender story. I rank it 4th in acting, 6th in directing, 4th in writing, 6th in tech, and it only falters in art where it ranks last only because of the lack of design elements. Ranking 5th in my personal preference, it ties Barbie with a final score of 57, earning the tiebreaker because I gave it an A when I reviewed it. 4th place goes to American Fiction, Ben LeClaire, Nikos Karamigos, Cord Jefferson, and Jermaine Johnson. I love a good satire, and American Fiction is the best I've seen since Sorry to Bother You, maybe even the best since Thank You for Smoking. Cord Jefferson does amazing work in his directorial debut, showing off the creativity and humor that has made him one of the best TV writers in America. Jeffrey Wright gives a stellar performance, leading an amazing ensemble that includes Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross, Sterling K. Brown, and the immortal Leslie Uggams. The comedic escalation of a frustrated writer creating a pandering book of stereotypes to satisfy powerful white people who want to, quote, amplify black voices, end quote, but only if they conform to a victimization narrative, is both hilarious and poignant, and I kinda love the fact that, as a middle-aged white guy, I might be the butt of the joke. It's amazing when a filmmaker truly challenges the audience, and this is a perfect example. It earns a final score of 64 out of 100, ranking 1st in writing, 5th in acting and directing, and 3rd on my personal ranking. It only falters in art and tech, where it ranks 8th in both fields. 3rd place goes to Killers of the Flower Moon, Dan Friedkin, Bradley Thomas, Martin Scorsese, and Daniel Lupi. As I said during the Best Director video, I am a simp for Scorsese, and I absolutely love how the production of this film evolved from a simple crime story into a great American tragedy. Lily Gladstone gives the best performance of the year full stop, and in an underrated turn, I kinda love the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio plays a fully realized adult character that's just plain stupid. That's a first for him as far as I'm aware. It ranks 2nd in acting for me, 2nd on my personal enjoyment, 3rd in directing, 6th in writing, and 4th in both art and tech, giving it a final mark of 76 to make the podium. The silver medal goes to Poor Things, Ed Gein, Andrew Lowe, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Emma Stone. I've been a fan of Lanthimos' work since The Lobster, and I absolutely adore Emma Stone. The two were dynamic together in The Favorite, and here they outdo themselves. This is the most creative film of the year, turning a Frankenstein story into a compelling and hilarious journey of self-discovery and sexual awakening. It'll probably come up short on Oscar night, but it deserves to be seen, enjoyed, and studied for generations. I rank it 3rd in acting, 2nd in directing, writing, and art, 3rd in technicals, and 4th personally. This is an absolute joy of a film, and the final score of 84 reflects that. And naturally, my 1st place vote goes to Oppenheimer, Emma Thomas, Charles Roven, and Christopher Nolan. I honestly wonder if Oppenheimer winning on Sunday night might signal a sea change for the film industry. If it wins, it'll be the 3rd straight year that the Best Picture came out well before award season started in earnest, and I think that's great. The idea of studios cramming their, quote, best films into the final 2 months of the year in order to market for awards, rather than just earning them through merit, is a habit that really needs to change, and maybe this blockbuster will be what finally seals it. Ranking in the top 3 in every element across the board, this is, by a considerable margin, the most complete production of 2023, excelling in every aspect of filmmaking. This is what the Best Picture competition should be about every year, and just like Everything Everywhere All at Once did last year, Oppenheimer shows just how amazing a movie can be when everyone is committed to making something truly special. This was my favorite picture of 2023, and it gets 94 out of a possible 100 points, ranking first in acting, directing, and technicals, and third in writing and artistic achievement. So there you have it. That's how my ballot would look if the Academy ever deigned to give me a vote. But how would you rank the nominees? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you all so much once again for taking this trip with me, and remember to come back in a couple of days for my official predictions on who will actually win on Sunday night. Until then, everyone, I'm Bill Hammond. I actually paid to see this.